At times, we all feel lost and in search of something more. This is Cristina Dam, and this is Liberate the Podcast, a podcast designed to help inspire and guide you forward through everything spirituality, creativity, art, and just giving you a sense of empowerment so that you can be powerful, be magical, and be free. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Liberate the Podcast. Today, we are welcoming Tanya Robinson with us, and she is a singer, songwriter, musician, and tennis lover. And she's going to be performing here at Liberate, and we hope that we have her again in the future. As by the time this one comes out, it would already have passed, but we'll have some more. But today, our topic is going to be about the gift of inconvenience and really understanding what that means and Tanya's story that goes along with it. So thank you for coming and joining us today.
Wow, I couldn't be in a better place. Thank you for having me.
Very, very, so I want to, the gift of inconvenience. But before we get into that and why you picked that as the topic today, I want people to hear a little bit about you,
Okay.
Well, so we were chatting just a minute ago about tennis, but had singing, songwriting, musician, tennis lover. Let's share a little bit about you and where this soulfulness of having this gift of inconvenience comes from.
Well, it's a long story, but I can make it pretty short.
We got time.
A few different angles to approach with that is I just sent my son off to college. Talk about inconvenient. Also, the whole genesis of creativity has really been cut off in my life for a while. I kind of hung up my cleats about 20 plus years ago. Just like, it's enough already. The paying to play, the effort, the expense, the uncertainty, the feeling that I wasn't good enough, that all that stuff is just, I'm going to call a wrap. But it just happened as time went by. And then it was just gone. And so, for the past few years, and you never know where these things come from. I actually kind of attribute it to tennis, which I'll get back to in a second. But I got the urge to perform again. It just kind of kept making itself known. It's like, you really ought to, why don't you, that little voice that always poses things in questions, it might not be a bad idea if you, and I just kept, wait, shut up, I just, already, I'm done with that. And then suddenly I wasn't done with that and started speaking to a few of my friends about, I'm kind of feeling like I want to, kind of kick out the jams and dust off the cobwebs and see who I am now.
Yeah.
And so I mentioned it to a friend. She goes, you should do that. I'll look for some places for you to play. She's looking, and she calls me back the next day and goes, you know what? I'm going to book you. And so, okay. And it's been a bit of a roller coaster, but right now I can't think of anything better way to spend my time. But how tennis kind of did this is 4 years ago, at the ripe old age of 58, I suddenly, kind of similar to this, went, I bet I could play tennis. Didn't play it when I was younger. I bet I could play tennis. Well, play some dang tennis then. So found group lessons, started playing, and you can't stop me. I am full steam ahead. I fell in love with it. It changed my outlook on life. It revitalized me. It's changed my body. Like, I look better now than I looked when I was 20 in terms of, the cut of my jib. And I just fell in love with something again. And when I fell in love with something again, I remembered what I also love.
Isn't that interesting how that happens, right? It's kind of like, I always say, people have state dependent learning. And so sometimes when you're in a bad mood, you kind of recall everything that's bad, or when you're in a good mood, you recall everything that, and it's like this mindset that produces this emotional like kind of windfall
Yes.
of memories or experiences or desires. And, you know, so it's like you opened up that vibration of love again, right?
Yes.
And I'm hearing this, and I'm tying it into the inconvenience. It's like, you know, maybe it wasn't a convenient to go in, take group tennis lessons. Maybe it was a little awkward. Maybe it seemed a little bit, you know, scary or whatnot, something that he hadn't done, jumping in at 58, going in, being around a whole bunch of strangers, doing something that you're not good at, you know, like because you didn't know it yet, you know, not because you weren't capable of being good at it. But, and it's like, but that leads us to some of the biggest gifts, which I think is one of the premise of this inconveniences. You know, like a lot of times when we don't have things that are planned for us. I mean, if somebody asked you, I'm sure years prior, would you pick up tennis? You say, maybe, maybe not. You know, I don't know. If when you retired from being performing, you would have said, you know, can somebody get you to play again? Probably not. I mean, maybe if it was some kind of like special event for a friend, but no, you know.
But otherwise, meh.
You know, but it's like, we don't know what we don't know.
Truly.
And there's so much gift and blessings in that unknown.
Yes. There was so much meh before I started playing tennis. Before I fell into that, like there was just like would have said meh to a lot. Yeah, you want to, I don't know. How do you feel about that? Nah, it's okay. You know, it just basically plugged me into a source of energy that, you know, now runs through my whole being. So I never would have expected that to happen. That was not, let me take tennis lessons, fall madly in love with it, and be teaching in 4 years. Like that just, no, there was no speaking that at all. So I'm feeling very fortunate and blessed by that.
Which gets into another aspect, and that's, we don't fully know what we're going to love or what's going to make us happy or reactivate us to our truth. Because, I mean, that's what it feels like it did. It like opened up this channel to your essence and your truth. And that's why like your passions of what else you enjoyed start flooding in when that joy is open, right?
Yes.
You know, it's like, oh, well, you know what? There was some thrill in love about, you know, writing a song or performing in front of people or playing or whatnot, you know, like, and it happens because you're in that state of congruence. It's like you're in that state of passion. It's like when somebody's on vacation, they tend to open up the things of a lot of interests that they have that in their daily routine they don't really notice, but it's a few days into that vacation and suddenly they're like, you know what, I've always wanted to scuba dive, you know what, like, you know,
maybe I could body surf.
Maybe I could do this, or maybe I could, you know, like, or I want to go and see this or experience this or learn this about history or whatever the case may be, but you feel like that person starts to become their truth again.
Yes, that I would 100.
So can you share with me some other inconveniences that have happened in your journey of life and where you've come up to, you know, have this kind of philosophy?
There have been lots, but it came to me actually, speaking of wild hairs up the you-know-what, my former, I call her my former because ex sounds derogatory and she's everything but that. She's my best friend. And she is baby mama. She's a mother of our child.
Yeah.
Who we just sent off to college. And we moved to France. 2006. We just got a bug up our you-know-whats. The USA was kind of irritating us. And it was just time to do something completely different. Didn't speak French. Okay. It was a big thing. Sold a house, moved everything, everything changed. And where we lived was this tiny little podunk village in what's affectionately known as Southwest France. People immediately think, Avignon. They're seeing lavender everywhere they look. But this was anything south of the Loire River is considered Southwest. So it was really more like the middle. But it was like, we affectionately call it the middle of somewhere, but really it was the middle of nowhere. I mean, nobody ever knew where it was. It was dinky, 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 a bunch of old people in town. You know, the church was 1,000 years old.
How'd you pick this place?
Oh, well, I went on a trip. So back up. We had some
Okay.
friends who had what they call gîtes, which are basically self-catering holiday rentals where you have your own unit, kind of like renting a cabin at Big Bear, right? You have a little books, they give you ideas where to go in the area, but nobody is taking care of you directly. But we had a place that had been a mill, actually a mairie. They made chain mail there. So water literally ran through the buildings at one point, but they rerouted the stream and then left the buildings. So there was a house and then a large structure where the real business took place that was converted into 3 different apartments, but they're all large. 2 of them had 3 bedrooms. One of them was a bedroom and a loft. So it was a gorgeous, gorgeous place. And I found it by taking a trip. Just got on a plane with my little spreadsheet and my checkbooks and what had to do this and picture taking, and drove myself across France looking for places. And this place was amazing, a little bit too out of the way, which was my only reservation and ended up kind of being the demise of it. But it was one of the most beautiful places I've ever been still. Just had so much magic in it. But it was not really close to anything.
Okay.
So moving to France, where the culture is still very family-centric.
Wait. So let's back up for a second. So you go on this trip.
Went on the trip.
So,
we determined we were going to either France or Italy.
Okay.
And we're going to find the spot and just plant our little flag.
Okay. So you're going on this trip with the thought process in mind that we want to move.
Yes.
Okay. So you and your former go on this trip. And
I went by myself.
Oh, you went by yourself.
I went by myself.
You went scouting by yourself.
I went scouting. Exactly. I went on a scouting trip.
So here you go. You're on a plane. You're like, okay,
I'm going to go. Phrase book and fingers crossed.
I'm gonna scout. And you go through all these different places and you fall in love with this one. There was something about the beauty, something about the energy, and you're like, okay, this is it. It's going to be probably pretty reasonable. It's lovely. It's beautiful. Okay, this is where we're going to go. You take the pictures. You show your former. You say, hey,
what do you think?
And then you pack up.
Yeah, it was a whole process. Pack it up. We used to say.
And then you heard your guys' son.
Go.
Yeah,
saw it. I saw it. We went. It was like, what was it? It was like 2 dykes, a bike, and a trike moved to France, Like we just, that was just for the rhyme, really. But we packed off and left. But the thing there was a lot of things that were absolutely ridiculously wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things was the culture was so different in terms of what was considered important. So family was very important. If you went to a fancy restaurant, it was not normal to see just adults. They brought their kids. They didn't leave their kids home. They brought them and taught them how to act.
Yeah.
Right? It was a very, our children belong everywhere. We're going to teach them how to be in the world. So that was a bit of a, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
They still do that in places,
Yeah.
Not just my house where, you see some behavior here where if you'd done that as a kid, you would have never gotten out of the house again.
Yeah.
Just crazy stuff. But it was very, very family-centric, also very bureaucratic. And, they had ways that they did things. And it was not really a large, at the time, consumer culture.
Okay.
So as a consequence, it was also, 2006, 2007, there wasn't the same immediate access to everything. But it also was not desired. Mm. So if you wanted to go, for instance, to the hardware store, the big one, it was a 45-minute drive. So
it was commitment for everything.
It was commitment for everything.
It was planning ahead.
It was planning ahead. It was commitment. And what I got super clear, and what was the primary gift of inconvenience, of which there were several, but the primary one was it very quickly separated want from need. Right? How often you're talking to somebody, I need this, I need that. And I'm like, do you need that? Or do you just want it? Yeah. Because if you think they're the same thing, you act like they're the same thing. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I feel like I left a place of, if I think I want it, I must need it, and therefore I go have it.
Yeah. I have to put in significant.
I have to really, do I really want? Do I need it? Do I want it? Yes. Do I need it? maybe not so much.
Maybe not so much to do,
and
a 2-hour trip.
Yeah. And you combine things, right? Okay. All right. I'm going to need to go to the store to get this. Once you determine it was actually a need. All right. And then it was, well, what else can we do at the same time? It wasn't just go do this and go do that and then go this. It's like, okay, we're going to town, we're driving into Angoulême. They've got the places where you can buy these things. Where else do we need to go? Consolidate, do it all at once, figure out what fits in the car, what doesn't fit in the car. It's just a bunch of real clarity of purpose and thinking that took place. That wasn't just, we didn't just go Pac-Man everything. You had to really, really give it some thought. And that was one of the first things that I noticed that I loved was the fact that, wow, this is so different. It's such a different way of being that even after I got back, in the Amazon lane, it's still, I always think, do I need that?
Well, what a gift. I mean, that is ultimately the gift of inconvenience, right? It's like realizing that you can go by with a lot less and have a lot more, a lot more meaningful experiences, a lot more interactions and time, family time, community, all of that. But also it's like, maybe there's a lot of wasted energy that goes and disperses on the wants in our life that, just becomes something that we temporarily want too, which is the interesting aspect. Yeah. It's like that new car phenomenon that everybody has experienced at some point in their life. They buy a new car, they get the one that they think that they really want, within that realm of whatever they're looking for. And then after a couple of weeks, that whole lure of the car is gone, right? And now it's just a vehicle to transport from one destination to the other. And some are stuck with a massive car payment and some are stuck with a very convenient car payment. But at the end of the day, it becomes the same, a means of transportation. Yep.
You realize what things are actually for.
Yeah.
And that was, like I said, that was a very, it's a very liberating, to coin a phrase. It was a very liberating experience of, I didn't need that. As you say, it passes. It's like, I really want, the next week, I don't miss having that in my life. And that was a really super huge, it changed my life forever, actually. Just that little turn of the point of view is like, wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. It also made me more patient. I'm a pretty patient person, but it added an extra element of, no, you cannot have it now.
Yeah.
Even if you want it, you cannot have it now. And that was like, okay, also good.
Yeah. But also the peace and the stillness of a smaller town and the ability to just have more time to be present.
Yeah.
Right? So what caused you to then leave?
Ran out of money. Actually, the universe crashed. That was 2009 when the entire world caved in. Because basically, a large part of the income was renting the gîte. So the house was, separate. And then it was basically a vacation rentals, British, from Netherlands, lots of people from different countries.
So that's cool. So you would have different people come in.
Yeah, it was so fun. My son at the time, he really loved Saturdays because that was changeover day, right? So that was when one batch of people left and the next batch of people came, and he would run into the house all excited and go, "We're going to have visitors."
Yeah, I wonder who they are this time. Where they come from?
Who are we going to get this time? Because, every week it was maybe going to be a batch of new kids to play with or, all that stuff. So it was very exciting. Every week was good times because new people were coming.
That's so cute.
Yeah, we're going to have visitors. And I think that was also part of that,
So then another level of inconvenience hit, right? When the stock market, the different things, the economies crash all over, people aren't as able to take the vacations, maybe some,
it basically cut it off because most of the people, it was very popular with Brits and people from the Netherlands. French people don't, generally speaking, rent gîtes. Like they go someplace else, or they go, they may have a family home. They may have, different ways that they choose to vacation. But interestingly, that wasn't really one of them. In fact, the whole time we were there, we only had one French couple who kind of stumbled upon us. Everyone else was from a different country. So, but there was so much uncertainty and fear and panic that the first thing people do is they shut off the non-essentials, right? And we're not going on vacation this year.
Yeah.
Okay, we're staying home. All right. Well, there. So that happened.
And then you were out of there, and then you decided to move back. You enjoying this so far? Did you forget to subscribe? Make sure to do so. Takes 2 seconds. Just press that little button, the red one. You know the one. Just press it, little like. All right, enjoy the rest of this content.
Came back. I mean, there's just, you only have so many options in other countries, right? You need to be having property, or in some cases, if you're going there for a job, you need to have a sponsor. There's all those things that need to happen in order to be able to stay in a country for more than 90 days. So, came home licking wounds, but I wouldn't have missed it. Yeah. It was amazing.
Yeah, but then coming home too, like the inconvenience of the crash and the market caused you to do another chapter, maybe have a close to that chapter and say, whereas you might have continued to stay there and continue even as much as you loved it, there might have been different lessons or different experiences that were waiting for you.
Definitely. I mean, everything's then and since has been like, it's basically one lesson after the other. And that, coming back with basically the clothes on my back, such as they were, very strange, that feeling of not having anything. Oh, well, we got to find a place to live. Okay, how's that going to work? Don't have a job. How's that going to work? So there was a lot of how's that going to work?
Yeah.
That took place. And again, every bit of, not every bit of difficulty, let's tell the truth, some stuff just sucks. But, as a come from, it really was a case of what's possible. What's the next thing that's possible? And, I would say that other than, being mom number two, and working, I do technical support work. Actually, I put the T in IT.
Ah, nice.
So I was able to. Oh, interestingly, talk about the turnaround. What that reminds me of is that when I was leaving the country, I wanted to find some place that my clients could go.
Okay.
Because at the time, everybody didn't have high-speed internet. There wasn't really the whole remote culture at the time. If you had a problem with your computer, somebody needed to come, or you needed to take it somewhere. Yeah. So I did some research, called some people, looked and connected with this guy named Paul Jepson of Jepson Technologies. He was doing something very unusual at the time, was, opening up these huge pipelines for recording studios and things to be able to have a, kind of the precursor of broadband, right? Yeah. All that. And he was right at the forefront of that, as well as desktop support. And I'm like, I like this guy. How'd you like some clients? And I just basically referred all my clients to him and said, if you have a problem, Paul's prepared to take you on. And this is contact info. He also does PCs if you have problems, if you have a friend with PCs, because I was primarily Mac at the time.
Yeah.
And so that happened, and that worked out pretty well. When I came back, I'm looking here for a job, looking there for a job, and finally just went, Paul Jepson. So
the person that I gave all this referral business to.
I shot him an email and said, hey, I'm in between jobs. No, I just said, I'm broke AF and I need to work. And do you, he was primarily PC by then, and I don't know diddly about him, but I got a mind for it. I go, do you have any project coming up that you just need some dumb hands for? You just can give me something to do that, any one of the trained monkeys with the typewriter could actually accomplish, and I will do it to the best of my ability, and it'll help us both out. He's like, sure. And we got together, had lunch. He goes, here's what we're doing. Gave me a little project. It was something really thrilling, like distributing antivirus software to all the clients, right? Whoa, right? But whatever,
Yeah, you were like, I'll do whatever. I'm here to learn and to be of service.
Here to learn, be of service, and eat.
Yeah.
All those things are important, right? So, 8 years later, I'm still working with Paul. And and he's the best, and allows me to do what I need to do. He's a father. He's he's committed to what he does. He's a proper human being, and he's like, when I said, I want to teach tennis, but the problem is I need to quit work every day at 2:00 because I have to drive to Newport Beach. It's like, whatever you need to do, you just tell me.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, I have people like that in my life. So, he is.
But that's, I think that says a lot of testament of who you are. That vibration of jumping in, giving everything your heart and your passion, like in your stories, wherever you go and whatever you do, you say, okay. And you do so with a cheery outlook to say, okay, we're going to figure it out. Right.
Yeah.
And that loving and that giving and that expansive energy and that belief, that certainty within yourself. And then that just like creates this vibration. But every step of the way, there's so many times, maybe the gift of inconvenience, but also just, facing the unknown in a powerful way. I mean, that's really like the story of your life.
Pretty much.
It's about taking those leaps, allowing yourself to see where things go, and having an unshakable trust in yourself to be able to figure out the next steps. Even in the moments where it seems like there's a dark curtain, you say, okay, well, I know that there's something beyond the dark curtain, and I know that I have 2 legs and some arms, and I'll figure it out. So let me go through the dark curtain because I'm okay.
I'm okay. That is again, that's an essential quality that if I could hand that to my kid in a package, go put it in a pill, swallow that down, take 3 or 4 of those every day, you'd be cool. Because I see how many people around me in not my immediate space, but I see what the lack of that does.
Oh my God, but
everywhere.
You went to had half of the experiences. So one, you probably went to take that step and went on a plane by yourself and went even scouting, or, like taking leaps probably a lot earlier, because I'm guessing this happened as early as when you were a child and a teenager in your early 20s. I'm sure that there's these representations of this. Let me take a leap. I'm not sure how the pieces go, but the bottom line in life is inconvenient. Life is a puzzle pieces that we don't know how they fit. And if you want an interesting puzzle that's like, has some beautiful colors and textures and all of that, you know what? You're probably going to have some more difficult pieces that you're going to have to figure out, right? You can do the 100 puzzle piece that has like, 2 or 3 colors where it's super easy. This piece goes in the left corner, this piece goes in the right corner, this goes here. And, you got it. But like, how interesting is the puzzle? How interesting is the picture? Is it really, or do you want one that's a little bit more detailed and,
I was thinking life sometimes it feels like it's a puzzle. You don't have the picture.
Yeah.
You don't get the picture on the outside of the box. You just shake out the pieces and
and each one fits in, and you got to trust that it fits in and that there's going to be another piece and another piece that's going to lead to the journey of your life. But it's inconvenient.
Yes.
When it's worthy, right? When it's really simple and easy, it's probably not that big of a growth. It's probably predictable, and it's probably maybe for that period of time when you felt a little blah in your life, right? And then you added a spice into it, and you said, okay, well, here's something interesting again. Let me dive in again. And then that opened up a whole new rabbit hole.
Yep, absolutely.
But I wish just like you're saying, I wish more people could grab. I mean, we don't know it. We live in an illusion that life is predictable anyways. So you might as well like jump and take leaps of faith, because do you not believe in yourself, right? Would be the question. Not all the things that could go wrong or all of this stuff or these stories. Do not believe and trust in yourself, right? Because somebody would be like, oh, going on vacation by myself and going and looking all. do you not believe in yourself that you can navigate, that you have your sayings, you can ask for help and directions, you got the ability to make it around, right?
Yeah. I think it's absolutely that. And fear is gnarly though. And there's so much of I cannot, or why should I, or I won't, is just fear.
Yeah.
It's just we make something up and then we believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I talked to my kid about that. I go, well, what do you think? What do you do when you walk down the hall? He goes, oh, girls aren't interested in me. I'm like, if I showed you a picture of this kid, you'd be like, what are you smoking, child? What in the world is wrong with you? I go, listen, son, maybe it's not what you think. Do you have your eyes down when you walk down the hall? I have a crazy idea. Look up.
Yeah.
Look for who's looking at you. Somebody's looking.
Yeah.
Somebody's looking at you. But because you're not looking, you think no one's looking at you.
Yeah.
And it's like, just lift your head. Just lift your head up. Just for a minute. Just as an experiment. Right? You don't have to believe me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything. You know, dumbass. I've been around all these years, but I somehow have learned nothing. Pretend I know nothing.
So good.
Just try it and tell me what happens.
Mm.
And it's so much of the blocks are just, we just made it up. We made up a reality, and now we believe it, and now we're afraid. It's like, oh wow, that's.
And it literally paralyzes people. I mean, a long time ago, I heard the acronym. I can't take credit for it, but I use it all the time. Is fear, false evidence appearing real, right? Because it's all an illusion, that we live, and then we create like a delusion out of it.
Yeah.
And it's all false. It's like we live in the story that we create, like your son. Nobody likes me. I'm not, this, or I'm not attractive enough. I'm not this enough and not that enough. Says what? What is your supporting, because you're single right now, or because you haven't went on a date? Like, where is that? Does that really equate that?
What is the source of that?
And in that, this becomes this fear, and then it becomes this paralyzingness, and then without treated, maybe it's not your son, but somebody else. Maybe they never go and they ask anybody out because they feel that they're going to be rejected, because they've made up the story in their mind that they're always going to get rejected, even though it's just an illusion.
Yeah, let's just say it's also for most people, not everyone, because we have to say things like not this and exclude that. I'm making a generalization. How's about we just let it be general?
Yeah.
That it's the most fascinating thing ever is when we say fill in the blank with such a small sample size.
Oh my God.
I asked 2 people to do this and they both said no.
So now nobody wants to ever help me. Really? Right? Nobody? Because those 2 people. And then you get into the sample size and it's completely skewed. It's like the person said, oh, I can't on Tuesday because I have already this engagement, or, I'm sorry, during that time I have a doctor's appointment, so I can't help you move. Like,
whatever it is.
But it's like, they didn't say that they weren't willing to help. They weren't willing to help on that. That's, or it's 2 people straight up say no, and then they suddenly, right?
Right.
And we do that so often. And these quantifiers that people use, always, never, absolute, these things. And it's like, for 2 people?
Right.
Or for 4?
Yeah, at least say what's true. I asked 2 people out and they both said no. And that makes me think that it's going to be a problem. Okay, well, now you've actually got something you can deal with.
Yeah.
Right? Not, as you say, not the always, never.
Yeah.
Oh my, it's so exhausting sometimes. As my Granny Clampett, I know, I just swung totally to a different place. But here's the thing. I got 2 very important things off Granny Clampett from the Beverly Hillbillies. As annoying as she was, she said 2 things that I always remember hearing. Don't borrow trouble. Right? Don't borrow trouble.
Yeah.
Stuff's going to happen. You don't need to make it up.
Yeah.
You don't need to borrow it. You don't need to borrow yours. You don't need to borrow anybody else's.
No, so wise. So wise.
Don't borrow trouble and brighten the corner where you are.
Yeah.
That was supposedly her favorite song, although she did none of that. That one got stuck in there. And whenever I'm not quite feeling it, I'm like, just brighten the corner where you are.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't change the world. Where are you?
Yeah.
Smile at somebody at the store. You know?
Yeah, and where are you right now?
Yeah, where are you right now?
Because that's the other thing we do is we either live in the past or we live in the future, and we don't live in the now.
Yep.
So even if that was the case, that two people turned you down or well, can you learn from it?
Yep.
What things, where can you take responsibility? Did you do so in some weird, like a way of asking somebody out?
Right.
Were you like nervous and shit? You're like, can you learn from your responses so you can do better? Like you just picked up tennis. I picked up tennis too recently, but it's like, you don't just like, oh, okay. Like, the first couple serves, I can't get it in. Like I'm done. That's it. You say, okay, how do I learn? I know I'm capable of doing better.
Yep.
I know I can play a better game. I know I can hit more accurately. And so you keep on trying.
Yep.
And you learn from, okay, how am I holding the racket? Where am I throwing the ball? What am I doing? Where's my foot positioning? Do I need to turn a little bit? And you start to learn these fine tunes to make yourself more effective. But if people actually did that in life, and they said, okay, well, I didn't get the first 5 jobs that I went out for. Well, we'll say, okay, well, what were you doing in the interviews? What kind of jobs was it? How could you learn? How could you present yourself as a more favorable candidate? What things could you do to give yourself the leverage?
Yep.
Right? And if you keep on doing that, that's like, people that in the artist world, they kind of do that, like actors and actresses,
Yep.
right? They keep on going out and they say, okay, if not this one, okay, I learned, and next time when I'm in front of a casting director, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that.
Yep.
They constantly are looking. But then in regular other people's lives, they don't seem to do that, and they create these stories that paralyze them, right?
Yeah. We would rather feel comfortable, which is, right there with the inconvenience thing. We would rather be comfortable and right about our position than we would face the discomfort of the exploration of what could be. Okay, well, wait, I blew that when what did I do? All right, what did I do? What was I looking like? Was I paying attention to what was in front of me? Did, maybe when I was asking that person, because I was so wrapped up in the thing that I wanted, with the outcome that I wanted, I didn't notice that, their eyes were red, they've been crying a week. Or they were looking at their watch. They must have someplace to go. Did I ask if it was a good time to ask? Did I
some people insert themselves and they're like, I'm sorry, can I go out? Do you want to go out with me? And it's like, this person's crying, having a conversation with their best friend at a bar. Maybe it's not appropriate. Maybe they're not in that space. Yeah. Maybe they're saying no to the experience of that moment, not you, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And even if they are saying no to you, it's like, what other things can you learn?
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, maybe. And ultimately what I tell the guys, that's not that person. Maybe that's not the person.
Rejection is God's protection.
Yes.
I always say that. Rejection is God's protection. And then you have to say, well, if this didn't work out, then what's better that's around the corner, right? Yep. What's the other opportunity that's going to come, right?
Yep.
And that can be for anything. And you can say, okay, what can I learn and how can I take advantage and growth? But also, what's next? Because there's always a next.
There is. Until there isn't a next, there's always a next.
Exactly.
Right? And since we never know when our next is going to be, or when our last next is going to be, I might as well just,
Yeah, but if it's our last next, then we don't have to worry about it because then we're not there anymore. Right. So until then, you should just
let it all
believe that there's always a next until there is the last next. And
which again, you still won't know. So it all works out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is that. The fun I've been having at rehearsals, so talk about inconvenient, trying to get people scheduled, as you would know, like getting one person scheduled. Okay, getting you and whoever does the support work scheduled, that's another thing. If you've got a stock thing that you do it all the time, a little bit easier, right?
Yeah, if it's like every Monday night at this time.
Then when they say yes, you know that that's already a commitment. But when can you, and you're talking to 5 different people.
Oh no, forget it.
Plus the place you're needing to rent, right? That's inconvenience multiplied.
Oh my.
I've been having so much fun trying to make all the pieces fit, like we were discussing
it's the
before.
Puzzle. You're putting together the puzzle. You say, da, 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 da.
Yeah, and then just, rediscovering, like, the joy of rehearsal. I forgot how much I loved rehearsing with a band. It was gone completely from my memory.
Wow.
Until, got that train rolling, fell in love with tennis, fell in love with loving things. Wow, look what happened.
With life again.
Then here comes music tapping me upside the head. And it's like, okay, listen, I remember one thing my dad, he was raised by wolves. He had no social skills at all. He was a mess. He could make God mad. He asked me one time, and he said, T, did you go as far as your talent would take you? I'm like, that's like an evil question, dude.
Yeah.
That was harsh, but the best question ever. And the answer was no. And I hated that answer. But that was what was true.
Yeah.
And it just, does little circles in the back of my head. Not anymore with the sadness that I had associated with that answer. But now I was like, I'm not dead yet.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? Not dead yet. Ticker's still working.
Voice is still working.
Voice is still working. Better keep working it while it's still working.
You never know where that goes.
Never do know. And that's, again, back to if you're willing to work with the inconvenience that life is.
Yeah. And
all the strangeness it can present. It's like, okay, you might fall in love with something.
Oh, God, I love it. But Tanya, this has been a beautiful conversation. But where can people find you if they're interested in,
golly.
Maybe if follow you on social media, maybe somebody wants
Tanya Robinson,
to take
5022 on Facebook. Come find me. Look for me on Facebook or Instagram if you want to have a chitch.
And what's your Instagram?
On you. Oh, God. I think that's actually the Tanya Robinson 5022. I've never actually found out what my Facebook username is, but I know that it's
okay. So
at Tanya Robinson
we'll set the links below and to verify. So if you just send them in to us, we'll make sure that people get it. Maybe you're inspired to hear more about her inspirational journey and how she just listens to her heart and takes those leaps, looks at all the inconveniences as really these gifts that lead to new doors and new opportunities. But also, maybe there's some tennis for you in the future. You want to come and hear her perform now that she's performing again. So
yes.
Really enjoyed this, Tanya.
Thank you very much. This is awesome.
Thank you for having us, coming on our podcast today. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening to this on one of the audio platforms on iTunes or Spotify or any of those, we highly encourage you to check out our YouTube. Then you can see us in person. We do something on YouTube that we don't do on the audio, and that is we make little shorter snippets. And those shorter snippets are some of the beautiful wisdom and things that pop out on this podcast. And you can share that and just listen to that. Share that with people that might need some inspiration in their life. Thank you so much. And until next time. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like it, subscribe, and share it with your friends. If you want to hear more about what we have going on and happening online or in the neighborhood, check out liberateyourself.com and sign up for our mailing list. Also, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Liberate Yourself. It's YouRself, URSELF. Until next time, be powerful, be magical, and be free.